All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome back to the X Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell, and we're coming to you from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, worldwide on the X Zone Broadcast Network and our growing family of broadcast affiliates right around this great big world of ours. By the way, I'd like to thank the over 5,000 people who've gone to the CNN report I did on the seriousness of the claims being made by the wackos within certain paranormal communities, like, John Ventry, the Pennsylvania director from MUFON, who said that Flight 370 was abducted by aliens. And then you've got Lorraine Morin, who said that, Flight 370 was actually shot down by the U.S. government using a naval laser gun to show President Putin how strong President Bush was. Good thing you didn't put a red line there. And so we thought we'd bring on another good friend of the X Zone, Erik Stearns. He's in Texas. He's walking along the street right now. So if you hear cars screeching and something go thud,
that'd probably be me.
Yeah. Erik, welcome back to the X Zone. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing okay. Just trying to keep my head above water from day to day, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, I understand the rivers are pretty deep and run fast in Texas.
Well, as long as you don't have a drought, but we've been in a drought for the past 3 or 4 years,
oh, really?
So I don't know. They're kind of drying up, I think.
Hey, Erik, you and I were talking earlier about the buffoonery and the ludicrous comments being made about Flight 370 before it was, was discovered by the satellite that it actually landed, for a better word, it ended in the Indian Ocean off the coast of Australia. Why is it that people seem to create conspiracy theories when there's just nothing else to talk about? Are they that stupid?
Well, okay. Beyond stupidity, which I think is kind of the real the real answer that you touched on. I think there's two other reasons. One is that we look for more drama than there really is in any given situation. I guess it's just part of the human nature. But also at the same time, I mean, there are, some conspiracies which have panned out to be true. And so therefore, as a increasingly jaded society, we just continue to look at things in that light, whether or not that they're conspiracies or not.
I've been talking to people over these last 15, 16 days about Flight 70, and some people say, well, all the information that is being distributed by main core media, it's because they're actually owned by the New World Order.
Yes.
And I'm saying, are you out of your mind? Like, God, give your head a shake. Welcome to the real world, people.
Yeah, well, the fact of the matter is that, cutting the New World Order angle out, I mean, they are owned by corporations, multinational corporations, and of course these corporations have agendas of their own. And not only that, it's also, the thing about media is however much you can sensationalize things, that's what's gonna basically sell. And that's the big conspiracy right there, and that's what a lot of people don't realize.
Like CNN has their reporters sitting in a flight simulator up here in Mississauga, Ontario, giving reports. Now, there's one thing I don't understand. Like, this is not the same kind of training simulator that would be used at Boeing. So even the pilot said, or the training flight instructor says, hey, this is just for entertainment purposes only.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Get off the train tracks, Erik. Erik, life.
I'm about 2,000 feet from it. So
Erik, life is good. You don't need to do this. Mind you, we've never had anybody get smucked on the show by a train. So, hey, this is another first for the X Zone. But in all seriousness, don't they have anything better to do? Like, a psychiatrist told me that Today's sensationalism, when people believe in conspiracy theories, it's like the olden days when people used to suffer from the ostrich syndrome. To escape reality, they'd stick their head in the sand. In today's society, with all the high-tech gadgetry, people escape reality and go into these virtual worlds because they can't cope with the real life. And this is their way of escaping. And it has to be some power greater than they can comprehend that is responsible for all the woes and all the tragedy and all the misfortune in their lives.
No, yeah, I think you hit the nail right on the head. And the worst thing is that, not only do we have the gadgetry, but there's so much, there's so many different ways to escape. I mean, not only drugs and alcohol, but now the gadgetry and all that stuff. And society really is not, how should I say, the infrastructure of society is no longer equipped to really deal with such causes of those addictions. As a matter of fact, we encourage it rather than discourage it.
Erik, stand by, my friend. You and I have to take our first commercial break. X-Zone Nation. Erik Stearns is our special guest, and Erik and I will be back on the other side of this commercial break in 2 minutes as we continue here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away. With each new extreme weather event or terrorist act, it becomes increasingly obvious that we live in uncertain and challenging times. We all buy car insurance. Why not collapse and catastrophe insurance? Matthew Stein, an MIT-trained engineer and green builder, has written 2 outstanding books to help people prepare, plan for, and deal with everything from minor situations lasting a few days to full-on collapse. Matt's first book, When Technology Fails, is a manual for self-reliance, sustainable living, and surviving the long emergency. This massive book covers the gamut from first aid and emergency preparedness to alternative healing, renewable energy, primitive living skills, and 18th century technologies that could be critical to your comfort and survival in a long-lasting crisis. Matt's second book, When Disaster Strikes, is a comprehensive emergency preparedness handbook and survival guide. When Disaster Strikes is an essential item for every family's go bag. Both books are available at all usual sources. There's a wealth of totally free information posted at whentechfails.com, and author-signed copies may be purchased at mattstein.com. That's www.whentechfails.com and www.mattstein.com. Named one of the world's greatest psychics, Elizabeth Joyce is now giving readings worldwide via Skype. Elizabeth Joyce is recognized for her clairvoyant ability to help find missing persons, her analysis of dreams, past life regression work, mediumship, and her accurate predictions. Elizabeth has been a frequent guest on the X-Zone radio show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, now for several years. For an appointment with Elizabeth Joyce, call 201-934-8986 or Skype at elizabeth.joyce. And for more information, you can always visit Elizabeth Joyce online at www.new-visions.com.
Do you have a dis-ease that you would like to alleviate through a natural means? Have you been contacted by angels, ghosts, or even extraterrestrials and want to validate these experiences? Or would you simply like to speak with someone who can help you find your life's purpose? I'm Dr. Joseph Mara, and I'm offering my services free of charge for first-time clients contacting me during the month of April. These free consultations include angel card readings, guided meditations, life coaching, and energy healing. If you have always wanted to explore these types of experiences but were skeptical or simply could not afford them, then take advantage of this free special offer. Contact me through my website, a guiding light spelled LITE.com to schedule your consultation today. Until then, I offer you love, light, and laughter.
Here we go again.
I demand more!
I want it, I need it, and I'm gonna have it!
Welcome back, everyone. X-Zone Nation around the world. It's great having you with us here every night on the X-Zone. My name is Rob McConnell. And you're probably saying, why does he do that whenever we come back from a commercial break? It's very simple. We do it at the top of the hour and the bottom of the hour because that's when new networks click on and off. So we just don't want them to think they're interrupting a conversation because, here in the X-Zone, it's always between me, you, and our guest. That's how important you are to us here in the X-Zone. Worldwide toll-free, 1-800-610-7035. My email address, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On all social media networks, X-Zone Radio TV, and our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. Erik Stearns is my very special guest, a good friend of the X-Zone. Let me see, so far, he's nearly been hit by a car, run over by a train, creamed by a fire truck, rolled over by an ambulance, and we're only 15 minutes into the interview.
I say we're making good time.
Hey!
Don't you think?
We're having a hell of a good time here. And the funny part is he's walking the streets of Austin, Texas. So one of two things is going to happen, gang. He's going to get mugged or somebody's going to think he's a prostitute and offer him some money.
I could use it.
All right, there you go. Erik, we were talking about conspiracy theories. Mm-hmm. And, to think that there are people out in this world today walking around, maybe not in Austin, Texas, but they're still out there walking around in Toronto and Shanghai and Budapest and London, wherever the show's listened to. They actually believe, some of them actually believed that a UFO abducted Flight 370. Others believed that it was a U.S. naval weapon, a new ray that either was built into a mountain or from an underwater base. Come on.
The same stories that flew around when Flight 800 basically had its demise back in it was almost 20 years ago.
That's right.
Back in 1996.
Yeah.
So, and I'm gonna play a little bit of middle of the road here. As I said,
get off the road, Erik. Get off the road, Erik. Get off the road.
Yeah. You should see me driving. No,
I'm afraid to at this rate. Oy vey.
So, anyways, yeah. But the fact of the matter is, yes, there are conspiracies out there. But, as far as abduction by aliens and stuff like that, I mean, really, seriously, it's like, to me, it's kind of like people trying to remote view targets that are not necessarily verifiable.
Yeah.
It really doesn't lead anywhere near to the credibility as far as what you could be if you were doing it properly, so forth and so on. And it's like, if you can't verify the target, how do you know how good that view is, and how do you know that it's not your imagination? The same context applies here, because of the fact that we're looking for every conspiracy under beneath every blade of grass. But yet, it's like, come on, people, let's get real about this. Yes, there are some conspiracies out there. There are some nefarious things going on. But when you start getting far-fetched just off of the default like that, then I'm sorry, let's call Bravo Sierra what it is. You're getting stupid, period.
Yeah. Something that really amazed me was, you get these people who come on the show, they're psychics, they can tell the world events ahead of time. Not one of them mentioned the aircraft. Mind you, after it happened, they were all saying, Rob, do you remember when I said? No, I don't remember, because you didn't say it. Oh, yes, I did on your last show. Well, let's find the tape. What was that? You didn't say it. And
you do have podcasts, so, it's on the record.
Sure. So come on, people. Life is complicated enough without complicating it more with conspiracy theories. And what's the actual reason for these conspiracy theories? Is because these people have nothing better to do with their time. I swear to God, that's it.
We are a society that is addicted to drama. We really are. I mean, it's really disgusting. I mean, between reality TV and this infotainment, which we supposedly call news in the vernacular, it's like, it's expected that, if you're not on that, drama wagon train, then you're not living. I say it's quite the opposite. I prefer to get away from that stuff as much as possible, which is very difficult to do. But the fact of the matter is that, I mean, we wonder why people are losing their heads. It's because of the fact that they're swallowing all this, right and left and all that stuff. And it's like, wow, hold on, take a step back. What you are is what you eat. What you also, believe is also what you see as well. And it's like people, hold on a second. Let's not go over the deep end here. But that's what's happening. And then you wonder why people are losing it, doing all the stupid stuff that they're doing. I mean, there's a myriad of examples of that. And it's just really, I think in a way we are, seeing Rome burning and and we don't really know what to do with it. And if anything, we're fanning the flames. That's the way I see it.
Technology is great. No two ways about it. However, I think that the people in today's society are suffering from information overload.
Bingo. Exactly. And we're really not given the time to back off and have space for meditation and self-reflection and just, unplugging from everything. I mean, every weekend, every Saturday or Sunday, I turn the computer completely off. I put it in maintenance mode, let it do its scans and stuff like that. But I don't even check email or anything like that. I just totally unplug. And I'll tell you, it does wonders. Just one day out of the week, it does wonders.
Well, you know what I've started to do every night when I get home after leaving the office?
What's that?
I make myself a nice tall glass of water, put in some ice cubes, and I sit in our living room with all the lights off.
Oh, there you go.
And I just sit there for an hour.
Yeah.
And it feels so darn good.
Yeah. We don't do that anymore.
No.
We don't do that anymore. If anything, it's like we're almost being required to go 24/7, even though biologically we can't do that. It's impossible.
Laura and I had a beautiful supper tonight. We went out to our local King's Buffet, which is a Chinese buffet. I love it there. The food is great. The service is fantastic. And we're sitting there, we're talking, and we're in a room with about 120, 130 people.
Uh-huh.
And I would say about 75% of them were sitting there eating at table with friends and family and loved ones, texting.
Doesn't that bug you? It really does me. I'll tell you. It really does.
Yeah. Like we over here, when somebody comes to our house, we ask them. The family knows that they leave their cell phones, they leave their smartphones at the door.
Yeah.
You come here to see us.
My phone doesn't even go near the bedroom. And when I'm eating or when I'm at the table, that's my time. That's not anybody else's time. That's my time.
Well, that's the way it should be. People don't realize the effect of RF frequencies. You've got cell phone frequencies that they use microwaves. You've got the microwave transmissions from the microwave towers that broadcast use and cell companies use and regular established companies use, and now corporations are using it because it's getting that cheap to use for instant communication between one city and the next.
Yep.
Then you've got all the other radio frequencies and bandwidths that we don't even know about, and all these are going through us. Like something is wrong with something is wrong with the world when you drive into your gas station and they ask you not to use your cell phone while pumping gas.
Yeah.
Like, come on, would you stick your head in a microwave oven and turn it on? No? Well, basically that's what you're doing when you hold a cell phone to your head.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And, even, some people will say, well, I'm using a Bluetooth adapter and all that stuff. Well, that's even worse, really, because you're still using bidirectional EMF frequencies in order to get the signal to and from the Bluetooth to the cell phone. And then, of course, the cell phone has its own radiation, with the 4G or 3G connection. And that's radiating you too. So it's almost kind of like, I'll try to avoid the 30-06 that's coming towards me, but I'm going to do it with an AK-47. Wrong. Doesn't work that way.
Yes, isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? Erik, you and I have been friends for nearly 20 years. I was telling the people at the production meeting today.
Has it been that long?
It's been that long, my friend.
Wow.
You and I first started talking when I was at CKTB.
That's right.
Yeah.
6:10 a.m. I remember that.
Yeah. So, and you, by trade, you're into the computer industry.
Correct.
You're also a very spiritual person. You're a shaman.
That's right.
How do you balance the two?
Well, I'll tell you a little secret. One of the things that I try to do is each position that I take, I first of all try to make that a position to where it allows me to make a difference in somebody's, positive difference in somebody's life, and whether that's a customer and or the company that I'm working with, so forth and so on. It's making a positive contribution in one way or another. That's one way that I balance it. So that way it gives meaning. It does have the spiritual aspect and the spiritual motivation behind it, and so forth and so on. I'll be honest with you. I mean, there's times where it's like I'll work 12, 14, sometimes even 16 hours a day, and it's real tough to do. Yeah. But that's why, I try to maintain a work-life balance. If I'm going to do those days during the week, at least I want the weekend off, so that way I can just unplug and just be myself and so forth and so on. I look at As far as I'm concerned, technology is really just a set of tools. I mean, that's really what the definition is. And the way that I look at it is that if I put the tools down and I take a rest, then I'm basically allowing myself the space and the time and therefore the energy to do my spiritual work, whether it be doing readings for people, doing ceremony, or just going out into nature in a park somewhere and meditating and so forth and so on, or just getting out of the house. That's the way that I try to balance it. It's not an easy thing. I mean, there's no magic bullet as far as I'm concerned, but that's what I try to do in order to try to balance it out. And I'm reasonably successful most of the time.
When we come back from this commercial break, Erik, I'd like you to give us some ways that listeners around the world who are, we're like us, constantly in the go position, how they can use your knowledge as a shaman and a spiritualist to help balance their lives. Can we do that?
Sure, absolutely. I'd be honored to.
Okay, Erik Stearns is our guest. Erik, what website can our listeners go to find out more about you?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn as well as Facebook, so you can look me up, Erik Stearns, Stearns. That's the way that you can find me. Also, I also have my Facebook page, White Soaring Eagle Ghostwood in Facebook. I have a page as well as a profile set up there.
And of course, what we're going to do is we're going to let our listeners know on your tag on this. On the segment that we're doing right now. Exonation, Erik Stearns is my special guest, a good friend, personally, and of the show. We'll be back on the other side of this news break. Don't go away. Are you considering calling a psychic to read your situation? Then consider David Champion, a psychic medium for more than 20 years with thousands of readings under his belt. David Champion will make you feel comfortable. He has proven to be honest and accurate. He's a straight shooter. There's no guesswork. What he sees is what you get. While he is a medium, most of the calls focus on relationships, not only love, but work, school, neighbors, and more. Need help with finding a job and preparing for the interview? Are you dealing with people who are obstacles in your path? For more information, go to davidchampion.com, $1.50 per minute paid by credit card with a minimum of 30 minutes. For your reading with David Champion, call 1-877-702-8598. That's 1-877-702-8598. Now you can dial in to listen to the X Zone Radio Show from anywhere in the world with Rob McConnell 24/7, 365 by dialing 213-401-0080. That's 213-401-0080. If you have a mobile phone or landline, the X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is now at your beck and call at 213-401-0080. That's 213-401-0080, 24/7, 365.
stopping this one way.
If this is true, we should listen and be grateful.
Welcome back, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell. This is the X-Zone. My good friend Erik Stearns is on the phone with me from some street way downtown in Austin, Texas. Now he's in front of a baseball park, which means not only did he escape with his life from a fire engine, a police car, a train, a drunken driver, an ambulance, a fire truck, and now he's facing life and death to be with us here on the X-Zone in front of a baseball park somewhere in Austin, Texas. You are one brave man.
I am intrepid, aren't I?
Yes, you are. By the way, before we get back to Erik, I'd just like to thank Stan LaFleur from Prism Publishing. I do a bi-monthly article, and I sent him an article called Now We've Heard It All. Malaysian Airlines Flight 370 solved. It was abducted by aliens. I love that headline, and it's the entire article. It takes up 2 pages in his newspaper. So, Stan, I want to thank you so much, and I'd also like to thank the people at CNN for carrying the story as an iReport. And thank you, the members of the X-Zone Nation. Last year, thanks to you, over 150 million listeners.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
We are growing. And one of the reasons I believe we're growing is because we don't do the regular, yeah, wow, really, whoa, a UFO, how big was it? On this side of the coin, it's, are you kidding?
Yeah.
What were you drinking?
More like, what were you smoking?
Yeah, that too. Mind you, no, you can't say that anymore sarcastically because it's accepted in most states now, and a lot of people are sick. It's easy to get a medical prescription for ganja.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I've got some thoughts around that, but it's becoming more and more legal, which is okay considering the fact that this drug war has been basically a big boondoggle and a farce, anyways. So
Bill Clinton said that he never swallowed or he never inhaled, right?
Inhaled, yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if Monica can say the same thing.
I don't think anybody asked her.
Yeah. Yeah, I still say she would have been the perfect person for the Horner mouth organ company.
There you go.
Hi, this is Monica Lewinsky. And when it comes to mouth organs, just use your imaginations, people. Erik Stearns is our special guest. Erik, as a shaman, now let's get a little spiritual here.
Sure.
How do people pace their day? Like, I used to get up, turn on CNN, watch the news as I was having my breakfast. I don't do that anymore. I turn on the comedy channel.
There you go.
And I start my day off with a laugh because when I get to work, TVs are on. Mm-hmm. We're you're just immersed in the news. One TV is CNN, another TV is Fox, another TV is MSNBC, another TV is CBC, another TV is CTV. Mm-hmm. And no matter what computer you work at here, you've got the news scrolling on the bottom.
Yeah.
So how do you manage a world in which technology is force-feeding you 7/24/365?
First and foremost, it's choice.
Okay.
Like I said, I have times of the week, times of the day that I just unplug. As I said before, the cell phone doesn't even come near my bedroom.
Yeah.
It gets turned off when I'm asleep, or if I'm working on a project that's very important and I don't have any other expected phone calls or anything like that. I turn that cell phone off. I turn that bugger off. Mm-hmm. Another time, other times that, I'm during the day, like for instance, if I'm out walking, which I do frequently, one of my personal medicines is that, I basically go out walking. I turn up the tunes on the MP3 player, And a lot of times I'll just ignore the cell phone because of the fact that that's my place to zone out. Here
Get
comes another
off
train.
the tracks, Erik. It's not worth it. No matter what the problem is, we can talk about it. You don't have to do this, Erik. You are loved.
Are you sure about that?
Erik, the world needs you. Austin, Texas needs you. The X Zone needs you, Erik. Don't get off the tracks.
That's okay. He missed me.
Okay.
Anyways, anyhow, but going back to your question, so I take a lot of walks. I do a lot of what I call spirit walking, just kind of a meditative walk. It's a moving meditation, which I prefer. Mm-hmm. Other times, what I also like to do is kind of go out to nature, whether it be a park or whatever. Sometimes if I'm feeling really ungrounded, I'm really feeling frazzled or whatever, I'll, I've got a little trick where I kind of lean up against a tree. I put my spine right up against the trunk and let the tree ground me. Take all that excess energy and put it back into Mother Earth. Mm-hmm. That also does a lot of good. A lot of people even simply forget to breathe. That's a big thing, and I'm guilty as charged too. And there's also times where it's like, if I don't have to get up early or if I don't have to get up quickly or whatever in order to meet an appointment, I'll get up as slowly as I want to. And that does a lot of wonders. If I'm rushed in getting up, that affects my whole day. If I'm not, it's basically, I'm smoothed out. I can concentrate on what I need to at the time, and so forth and so on. So those are some tidbits that I kind of suggest to people when they're looking at, like, how can I balance out, or I'm feeling so rushed or feeling so compressed by, the everyday world and all that stuff. The other thing that I recommend is set some time, and do this as a routine. Set some time for you to, do meditation, and it only has to be, 10 or 15 minutes a day. It doesn't, it's not like you have to be a yogi in training where you have to meditate on, transcendental meditate for hours on hours on end. Just take 10 or 15 minutes, just sit quietly and let your, just kind of let your thoughts empty. And, that also does a lot for you as well. So those are some of the things that I would recommend as a shaman to do, because it's just, it's a little simple things that make the biggest difference. And if you can do those, relatively consistently or routinely, you'll notice that your life begins to shift a lot. The other thing is that I don't expose myself to radio and the news and the disinfotainment, which is the mainstream media, all the time. I don't watch hardly any TV. There's some shows that I like to watch, but really, I mean, that TV set stays off most of the time.
Wow. So basically, Erik, what I do when I get home at night and I just get my glass of water and I sit in the dark and I just relax, I'm meditating. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, you're just clearing your mind and sometimes you'll get insights as far as maybe there's a problem that you're working on that day and sometimes a solution will come to you, or, maybe some sort of self-revelation will come out. It just depends on what you need, or just, sometimes it'll just be, that silence, that open space that your soul needs. And, that is what meditation is about, is really just, unloading and providing that sacred space for yourself to breathe, to heal, and to grow.
If you were asked to give advice to, no, advice is the wrong word. If you were asked to console the families of those who lost in Malaysian Airlines Flight 370, who have had, 17, 18 days of this agony of not knowing.
And counting.
And counting. As a shaman, how would you approach this, and what would you say to them?
Wow. Well, I would approach it with empathy, because it's hard not to have that closure, whether it be in a missing plane, or if it's a missing person's case. It's probably one of the worst hells that anybody can go through. That's the first thing that I would tell them. I totally understand. I understand where you're coming from. Second of all, you're not alone. You're not alone in this situation. There are people here to support you. There are people here that are thinking about you, that have you in their prayers or their meditations, what have you.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing. I mean, if people know that, it doesn't take away the pain, but at least it makes it more manageable. That's what I learned from a professional grief coach, is that, when somebody is going through that situation, even if it's just as simple as a job loss and stuff like that, they need to know that they're supported, that they're not alone, that this is, they're not the only person that this has or is happening to, so forth and so on, that, that there is somebody out there who understands and supports them in what they're going through. That's the biggest thing that that I would try to get across to them, because that's really what anybody needs. I mean, I've gone through. Luckily, thank God, I've never gone through a situation where I've had a family member missing or anything like that. But I've had family members die, and I've had very close friends die on me, and for various reasons, and and it's hard. It's one of those things that, it's just like, I feel so alone. There's a void in my life, and so forth and so on. And if people know that they're not alone and that they're supported and all that, that makes it a lot more manageable, knowing that they have at least a shoulder to lean on.
In every dark part of life, I always like to look for a bright side. And even though the events of Flight 370 were catastrophic, loss of life, I saw 26 countries come together.
Yeah.
To look, to search, to find 279 people. I saw people from all over the world holding prayer vigils.
Yep.
People came together.
Yeah. And that's the strength that we have as a human society. That really is a blessing that we have as a human species, is that not only can we build communities, but at the same time we can use that strength for our own resilience, not only on an individual level, but a community level, a nation-state level. I mean, look at what happened with post 9/11.
Yeah.
Look at what happened with the 2004 tsunami. Just a couple of examples there. Look at what happened with Fukushima.
Yeah.
The same thing happened there. Countries that would, a couple of days before would be practically hacking each other up, came forward. It's like it came forward to say, look, these people are essentially our relatives.
Yeah.
Let's get together and let's see if we can't help them out. That's the strength of the human spirit. Yes, we are capable of a hell of a lot of nightmares. There's no question about it. But at the same time, because of those nightmares, we are also capable of such beauty. And that's really what the human experience is about, is being able to traverse those passages of darkness, those spots of darkness, and come together with an inner light that really just, shines beyond all description.
Another great part to what I saw as being a positive was, no matter what religion these people were.
Yeah.
That didn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah, it transcended beliefs. It transcended, religious modalities and various dogmas.
Yeah.
And again, we have the capability of doing that. I mean, if things did go to hell in a handbasket, I think that there would be more cooperation rather than, people in a Mad Max scenario. I really do. I mean, even though I really wouldn't want to see that happen, I think it's, there's a good chance of that happening.
Yeah.
But we really do have that ability.
So, taking a broader look at the events and seeing how people band together, do you think it's time that people realize that, hey, we've got this power. We can pull together when it's a crisis. Why don't they realize that they still have that same power during peacetime, and they can band together, pull together to prevent the atrocities that we see going on in the world today?
Because we're motivated by negative events. We're not as apt to think about that when things are hunky dory and they're all peaceful and all that stuff. But yet when it's when we get slapped in the face with an event like this, that's when we start to realize. And I think really more of us need to realize. I think the more of us that realize, the more we can offset these situations that are happening and are about to happen, and so forth and so on. And I think more and more people are beginning to realize that. I really do hope so. And that's something that I encourage. I mean, as a citizen of the world, as I said back in 2012, we really, we really don't give up hope, and if we give up hope, then we lose our humanity, and that's the biggest thing. We really do instinctively want something to live for, but the converse paradox of that is that we're driven by disaster, we're driven by crisis and stuff like that, and I think that's going to be the next step in our evolution, is realizing that we don't have to be that way, that power resides within us. No matter what the situation is, and really it's going to ameliorate a lot of situations, not necessarily get rid of all of them, or make them go away. But it will help us, survive and evolve as a species, and that's the crossroads that we're at right now. That's really the big, critical decision that we have to make as a human species.
One of the major stories in the news these days is what is happening between Russia, taking back the Crimea, and then you've got Russia that seems to be poised to taking more of the Ukraine. You've got President Obama in Europe. Instead of the G8, it's now the G7. Mm-hmm. You've got political unrest there. Then we still have the problems with Iran and Israel. Syria is still on the burner, boiling. And
yep.
How do people cope with this as well? Because if Russia and the United States keep pushing the buttons, we're looking at World War III and a nuclear annihilation.
Well, and let's take a look at this first of all from the historical perspective.
Okay, why don't we take our final break here, Erik, and when we come back, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. Nation, Erik Stearns is our special guest. He's you can find all about Erik on LinkedIn, Facebook. And we're going to have Erik's contact information on our archive page. This is the X-Zone. My name is Rob McConnell, and from everyone here at rel-mar McConnell Media Company and all our companies and our affiliates, to the families of Flight 370, our deepest condolences, our love, and you're in our prayers. With each new extreme weather event or terrorist act, it becomes increasingly obvious that we live in uncertain and challenging times. We all buy car insurance. Why not collapse and catastrophe insurance? Matthew Stein, an MIT-trained engineer and green builder, has written 2 outstanding books to help people prepare, plan for, and deal with everything from minor situations lasting a few days to full-on collapse. Matt's first book, When Technology Fails, is a manual for self-reliance, sustainable living, and surviving the long emergency. This massive book covers the gamut from first aid and emergency preparedness to alternative healing, renewable energy, primitive living skills, and 18th century technologies that could be critical to your comfort and survival in a long-lasting crisis. Matt's second book, When Disaster Strikes, is a comprehensive emergency preparedness handbook and survival guide. When Disaster Strikes is an essential item for every family's go bag. Both books are available at all usual sources. There's a wealth of totally free information posted at whentechfails.com, and author-signed copies may be purchased at mattstein.com. That's www.whentechfails.com and www.mattstein.com. Rob McConnell here, presenting an overview for Nicholas Paul Jennings, author of a fascinating book, Amen. It presents facts revealed by Egyptologists, facts that enable us to understand why Amen is the beginning of creation of God. It provides recommendations for religious leaders of the major religions to unify their beliefs and teach the Word of God. Love one another. Amen informs people how mankind conceived God. It was the Egyptians that developed the concepts of a soul, a hereafter, and Son of God. And finally, after the worship of many gods, they conceived the belief in one universal God, the maker of all there is. For more information, visit www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com. Explanation, Erik Stearns is our special guest. He's been talking to us from the streets of Austin, Texas. First of all, Erik, thanks very much for coming on tonight. Always like talking to you, my friend, and I look forward to having you on every 2 weeks as you start your regular segment again with us here in the X Zone.
Likewise, I look forward to it, and thank you so much. I really appreciate the honor.
Tell me, my friend, Crimea, Russia, Syria, Iran, Israel. What's your gut feeling?
Things are really about to get stupid. That's the encapsulated version of it. I think what we're repeating here is World War, the same events with World War I and World War II, where it seems like our governments are revamping the empire mentality. Yeah. And I think instead of, if we're not careful, we're not only going to start another Cold War, we're going to start a hot war, mainly because of the fact that, nuclear weapons have proliferated not only between our two nations, but also other nations as well. You got India, Pakistan, China has their own nuclear arsenal, so forth and so on. You've got all these economic troubles, the wrong alliances being forged, instead of aligning ourselves with the people who really want independence in Crimea and Ukraine, we're aligning ourselves with the neo-Nazis in the Ukrainian provisional government, and we're just really, our governments are really making stupid maneuvers, and I really pray that things don't turn out the way that I see them turning out, because right now we're really headed for a brick wall, and it's going to get messy real quick.
I'd like to ask you, as an American, and I know you're very patriotic, when looking ahead to the next presidential election, before we do that, Craig just brought up a good point. Mick Romney was right about Putin. Because he said, basically watch out for him, and during the debates, President Obama basically laughed at him. So I just wanted to say, you know what, Governor Romney, you were right. I was wrong. I'm sorry. But when it comes, can you see Hillary Clinton as the president of the United States?
Well, you're asking me to make a psychic prediction on something that I feel very strongly about.
No, I'm asking you as an American citizen. I'm not asking you for a psychic prediction.
I hope that she doesn't. I really hope that she doesn't, because if she does, we're looking at losing more of our rights. We're going down. We're going down the same path that Obama has set us down. Down towards, and really, it's not a Democratic or Republican thing. I look at this as two wings of the same demon, basically. I look at I would want to see people like Rand Paul and Ted Cruz, in the seat, because of the fact that they're more level-headed, they're more patriots than any of these other talking heads that are out there, for lack of a better word. And but unfortunately, the masses are still dependent on the media and what they're fed by them, and so it's really hard to tell. But I can tell you one thing: I sure as heck don't want to see Hillary Clinton in office.
Yeah, I'm not an American. I'm a very proud Canadian. I'm proud to be the best friend neighbors with the United States of America. And I wouldn't want to see Hillary Clinton as the president of the United States. No, because I think if that happens, basically our nation's lost. And right now, she's on life support, and she's in grave condition, and it saddens me. It brings tears to my eyes to think of the road that we've gone down, the past 13 years or so. And, the next 4 to 6 years or so, I mean, we're really looking at a rock and roll time, and we really need some good leadership. Hey. But in order to do that, we have to step up and say that's what we want. But you people have the power. It's we the people, not I the person. Erik, take care of yourself, my friend. Speak to you in 2 weeks from now. Exo Nation, Erik Stearns will be joining us on a regular basis every 2 weeks here from Austin, Texas. Hopefully not from the middle of the street or the middle of the train tracks, but he will be with us. Erik, take care of yourself, my good friend. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news at 6.5 minutes past the hour as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada.